On my way to work this morning, something happened. I realized I wasn't wearing my wristwatch. I I felt awkward. I started feeling somehow. As a matter of fact, I felt my wrist was empty because I can't remember the last time I left my house without wearing my wristwatch. So for a very long time, I have always used my wristwatch everywhere I go. It has never left as long as I'm leaving my house. So it took me a lot to really convince myself, like, patience, this is just a wristwatch. It's not like your life depends on it. Don't worry, you'll be fine. So somehow I had to convince myself about it. But then again, still on my way, something happened. Like, I I thought about a lot of things, and which, of course, that's one of the things I wanted to share with you guys. About the person of the Holy Spirit. I realized something, that there are people who had the Holy Spirit in their lives, and when the Spirit of God left them, they did not even know. Some of them did not know when the presence of God was no longer with them, not because of anything, but because they did not even understand Him. They did not know Him. They did not know how the Holy Spirit operates. And the Holy Spirit is one person that announces Himself whenever He is on arrival, but during His departure, He never, for once, announces Himself. So, some people have lost the person of the Holy Spirit, and yet they think He's still there. So, when I was thinking about this morning, just like the way I felt empty, like my wrist empty when I wasn't wearing my wristwatch, I realized that there are also some people who somehow feel this emptiness inside them, but because they are not able to identify that thing or what really makes them feel such emptiness, they decided to replace it with something. Of course, because, like I said, if they do not understand who truly has a position in their lives, so when the Spirit of God is in one's life and He leaves, how on earth will that person be able to identify what left? So for me, I realized that a lot of people have replaced the place of the Holy Spirit in their lives by the lust of flesh, lust of their eyes, and the pride of life. But that can only lead to destruction. But the truth of the matter is that when you get to the point where you understand the presence of God in your life, one of the things that you do is that you guard it jealously, as if your life depends on it, because truthfully, it does. Just like me this morning, when even after convincing myself that it was just a wristwatch, I needed to replace it because I literally felt my wrist was empty. So I had to use one of my bracelets on the other hand to put on this one. It is natural for human beings to always replace things which they feel, if there is a vacuum, there is always something to replace. So what have you replaced the presence of God with in your life? It's one thing to know the things of God, it's also another thing to know God. I need us to understand that knowing God experientially is one of the best things that can happen to you. And like I always use the example that I'm stating out right now, which is my wristwatch. Some people will say, yes, wristwatch, it can be seen, but the Holy Spirit cannot be seen. Sees who? The Holy Spirit is a person and deserves to be seen and known. The Holy Spirit is one person that is more real than the person sitting next to you. It's more real than a wristwatch. It's much more real than you can ever imagine. So get to your work with God, like get to that point with your work with God when you know that you cannot do without Him. Like you literally have a track record of your relationship with Him, your experiences with Him in the place of prayer, in the place of worship, in your fellowship with Him, because that is where you get to really understand the person of the Holy Spirit. And by inviting Him into your life to take total control, stay with Him in prayers, stay with Him in the Word, and it will really shock you because He would direct your path. That is, if you allow Him to direct your path, instruct you on what to do and what not to do. Allow yourself to feel Him. Allow Him to speak to you, and allow yourself to hear Him. Allow Him to even gist to you and make you laugh to the extent that people around you are literally going to think that you're losing it. That state is really being in the presence of God, and every other state is abnormal. Let our Christianity be practical. Let our Christianity be lifestyle. If you say you know God, if you say you love God, you should know Him personally. You should understand that He is a person. That's why